Imagine this: after the age of 30, the average person begins to lose about 8% of their muscle mass every decade. By the time we hit our 60 and 70, this process accelerates. This condition, known as sarcopenia, doesn't just make us weaker, it affects balance, independence, and even longevity. In fact, studies show that muscle mass is one of the most reliable predictors of how well we age and how long we live. Yet, despite how crucial it is, most people overlook the daily habits and foods that either protect or accelerate this decline. Now, when people hear about foods for muscle, they often think of animal proteins like sardines, chicken, or steak. And while these can be valuable, there's a lesser known food backed by research that rivals these traditional sources, helps preserve muscle, fights sarcopenia, and offers additional anti-inflammatory benefits. This food isn't something exotic or hard to find. It's likely already in your kitchen or just one grocery trip away. Why does this matter so much? Because muscle isn't just about strength or appearance. Muscle is a metabolic organ. It regulates blood sugar, supports brain health, helps maintain posture and bone density, and even contributes to psychological well-being. When you build and preserve muscle, you're not just preventing falls, you're protecting your heart, your mind, and your independence. Here's what the research shows: nutrition combined with the right type of movement can literally reverse the trajectory of sarcopenia. And in today's talk, we're going to explore 6 powerful science-backed insights around this special food and its role in building and preserving muscle. They still break down the surprising nutrient profile that makes it a muscle-preserving powerhouse, how it triggers muscle protein synthesis, the very process of building new muscle, why it reduces inflammation and protects mitochondria, the engines inside your muscle cells, the best time of day to eat it for maximum benefit, how it compares with fish like sardines, and why it may actually be better for long-term muscle health. And finally, practical tools for incorporating it into your daily routine in ways that are simple, enjoyable, and effective. By the end, you'll see why this overlooked food could be your strongest ally against aging, weakness, and decline, and how you can start using it today to safeguard your strength for decades to come. So what is this food that rivals sardines in its ability to fight sarcopenia and preserve muscle? It's the humble lentil, a member of the legume family that has been nourishing human civilizations for thousands of years. At first glance, lentils might not look like a powerhouse, but research paints a very different picture. In fact, the United Nations has labeled lentils a future food because of their dense nutritional profile and ability to address both global malnutrition and chronic disease. Here's why they're so unique. A single cup of cooked lentils delivers about 18 grams of plant-based protein, nearly as much as 3 whole eggs. But it's not just the protein amount that matters, it's the amino acid profile. Lentils are particularly high in leucine, the key amino acid that switches on muscle protein synthesis, the very process your body uses to repair and build new muscle fibers. This is the same trigger that athletes rely on after resistance training, and is just as critical, if not more so, for older adults who are fighting against muscle loss. Now let's zoom out. Sarcopenia isn't just about not getting enough protein, it's also about inflammation, oxidative stress, and the gradual weakening of mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside our cells. And this is where lentils stand apart from animal proteins like sardines. While sardines are rich in omega-3 cells, lentils bring an entirely different protective arsenal: polyphenols, resistant starch, and magnesium. Polyphenols act like microscopic bodyguards protecting muscle cells from oxidative stress. A 2017 review in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences highlighted lentils as one of the richest sources of plant polyphenols, which have been linked not only to reduced inflammation, but also to improved insulin sensitivity. Why does that matter for muscle? Because when your cells respond better to insulin, they're better at pulling in glucose and amino acids, the raw materials your muscles need to grow. Another hidden gem inside lentils is resistant starch. Unlike simple carbs that spike blood sugar and leave you crashing, resistant starch ferments in the gut and feeds beneficial bacteria. These microbes produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which lower systemic inflammation and support muscle recovery. Think of it as fertilizing your internal garden so your muscles can thrive. And let's not forget magnesium, a mineral that 50–60% of older adults don't get enough of. Magnesium is a cofactor in over 300 enzymatic reactions, many of which involve energy production and protein metabolism. Without it, even the best diet falls short in supporting muscle repair. Lentils provide a steady supply, making them a quiet but essential ally in the fight against sarcopenia. Have you noticed how after a carb-heavy lunch, you sometimes feel sluggish, like your focus just drains away? That's partly because the type of carbohydrate matters. Lentils provide complex, slow-digesting carbs that stabilize blood sugar and prevent that crash. Stable energy means your muscles and your brain have the steady fuel they need for performance and repair. Now here's a simple tool to apply. Aim to include lentils in at least 3 meals per week. This could be as easy as adding them to soups, tossing them into a salad, or making a lentil-based stew. If you combine them with whole grains like rice or quinoa, you complete the amino acid profile, creating a protein quality that rivals animal sources. And if this insight about the hidden power of lentils is resonating with you, I'd invite you to subscribe to this channel, because each week we dive deep into these science-driven strategies that help you not just survive aging, but thrive through it, stronger, sharper, and more resilient than you thought possible. So lentils aren't just a side dish. They are a science-backed, muscle-preserving, inflammation-fighting powerhouse that deserves a central place in your diet. And in the next section, we'll go deeper into how exactly they flip the switch on muscle protein synthesis and why timing your intake makes all the difference. Now that we've established lentils as a nutritional powerhouse, let's explore how they actually help you build and maintain muscle, the process known as muscle protein synthesis, or MPS. Think of MPS like a construction crew inside your body. Every day, muscle tissue is broken down through normal activity, stress, and even during sleep. To stay strong, your body needs to rebuild. But here's the catch: without the right building blocks, the crew has no materials. That's where amino acids, especially leucine, come in. Leucine is often called the trigger amino acid because it activates a cellular pathway called mTOR, mechanistic target of rapamycin. This pathway is like flipping the switch that tells your body, start building muscle now. Animal proteins are well-known sources of leucine, but here's the surprising fact: lentils also contain significant amounts, and when paired with other plant foods like rice or quinoa, they provide all the essential amino acids needed to maximize that signal. A 2011 study in the Journal of Nutrition found that even modest amounts of leucine-rich foods significantly boosted MPS in older adults, the very group most vulnerable to sarcopenia. That means that incorporating lentils isn't just about total protein intake, but about supplying your muscles with the exact biochemical spark they need to keep growing. But timing is just as important as nutrients. Have you noticed how many people load all their protein into one meal, often dinner? The problem is that your body can only use a certain amount of protein for muscle building at one time. Studies suggest that for older adults, the sweet spot is around 25-30 grams of protein per meal, evenly spread across breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That regular distribution keeps the mTOR pathway firing throughout the day, rather than giving it one big surge and then letting it fall silent. Here's where lentils shine again. Because they're versatile and inexpensive, you can easily build them into multiple meals. A warm lentil bowl at lunch, a lentil soup as a light dinner starter, or even sprouted lentils tossed onto a breakfast salad. By spacing them out, you give your body repeated opportunities to activate MPS. And let's layer in movement. Research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition shows that combining resistance training with protein intake amplifies MPS far beyond what either does alone. In other words, when you perform strength exercises, even simple bodyweight moves like squats, push-ups, or resistance band pulls, and then follow up with a lentil-based meal, you're stacking the deck in favor of muscle growth. Here steps a practical protocol. Step 1, perform 20-30 minutes of resistance training 3-4 times per week. This could be weights, resistance bands, or bodyweight exercises. Step 2, within 1-2 hours of finishing, eat a protein-rich meal that includes lentils. This anabolic window is when your muscles are especially primed to absorb amino acids and grow stronger. Step 3, repeat this rhythm consistently, spreading protein intake across the day. Have you noticed how energized you feel after a balanced meal compared to a heavy, carb-only one? That's your body's way of signaling that protein and complex carbs, like those in lentils, are working synergistically to stabilize energy while fueling muscle repair. So if sardines provide omega-3s that reduce inflammation. Lentils provide the precise amino acids, minerals, and fibers that directly stimulate the rebuilding process. And when you combine that with consistent resistance training and smart timing, you create a protective cycle: break down, rebuild, grow stronger. And before we move on, let me say this: if this deep dive into how food interacts with your biology is helping you rethink your approach to health, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button, because the more you understand how your body works, the more power you have to shape how you age. In the next section, we'll explore a different layer: how lentils protect your mitochondria and reduce inflammation, two hidden drivers of sarcopenia that go far beyond protein alone. When most people think of muscle loss, they imagine a simple shortage of protein, but the science shows something deeper. Sarcopenia is fueled not only by inadequate protein intake, but also by chronic inflammation and mitochondrial dysfunction. Let's break that down. Your mitochondria are the energy factories inside your cells. They produce ATP, the molecule that powers every contraction of your muscles. As we age, mitochondria naturally become less efficient. Damaged mitochondria leak out free radicals, creating oxidative stress that harms surrounding cells. This stress, combined with low-grade inflammation, often called inflammaging, accelerates muscle breakdown. In other words, if your mitochondria are weak, your muscles don't just tire faster, they actually start dissolving away. Here's the empowering news: foods like lentils don't just supply protein, they actively protect mitochondria and calm inflammation. How? Through compounds like polyphenols, saponins, and flavonoids. A 2017 study published in Nutrients highlighted lentils as one of the richest sources of plant-derived polyphenols. These compounds act like firefighters, neutralizing free radicals before they can damage muscle cells. Another fascinating layer: polyphenols also stimulate a process called mitochondrial biogenesis, essentially creating new mitochondria. Imagine upgrading your internal power plants so your muscles have a steady supply of clean energy. Have you ever felt that deep fatigue after even light activity, like climbing stairs or carrying groceries? That sensation often traces back to inefficient mitochondria. By fueling your body with foods rich in these protective compounds, you reduce that energy crash and extend endurance. Lentils also contribute through magnesium and iron. Magnesium supports mitochondrial enzymes directly, while iron ensures efficient oxygen transport to your muscles. Oxygen, after all, is the fuel mitochondria need to produce energy. This dual support system keeps your muscular engines humming. And inflammation? Lentils address that too. Unlike processed meats or high saturated fat foods that promote pro-inflammatory cytokines, lentils provide fiber and resistant starch that feed your gut microbiome. The beneficial bacteria in turn produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which have systemic anti-inflammatory effects. This gut-muscle axis is one of the most exciting areas of research in aging science today. It means that by eating lentils, you're not only feeding your muscles directly, but also strengthening your gut, which then sends anti-inflammatory signals throughout the body. Here, ISTA is a practical application. Try replacing one animal protein meal each week with a lentil-based dish, like a Mediterranean lentil salad or a hearty lentil stew. Pair it with colorful vegetables like spinach, tomatoes, or bell peppers. The vitamin C in these vegetables enhances iron absorption from lentils, while the mix of antioxidants adds another layer of anti-inflammatory protection. Over time, this swap reduces inflammatory load and bolsters mitochondrial resilience, both critical in slowing sarcopenia. Have you noticed how some people in their 70s or 80s still move with agility and energy, while others struggle to rise from a chair? Often the difference isn't just genetics, it's how well they protected their mitochondria and managed inflammation through lifestyle and diet. So yes, sardines bring omega-3 sept that fight inflammation, but lentils add a broader spectrum of plant-based antioxidants and gut-fueling fibers that work on multiple fronts at once. It's like comparing a single fire extinguisher to an entire team of firefighters. And if these science-backed strategies are sparking insights for you, I'd encourage you to subscribe and join this growing community. Because each week we uncover tools that not only add years to your life, but more importantly, add life to your years. Up next, we'll look at timing and synergy, when to eat lentils for the greatest impact, and how combining them with other foods multiplies their benefits for muscle growth and longevity. We've seen how lentils fuel muscle protein synthesis, calm inflammation, and protect mitochondria. But there's another crucial dimension, timing and synergy, because it's not just what you eat, it's when you eat it and what you pair it with that determines how much your body can actually use. Let's start with timing. Research shows that muscles are most responsive to amino acids, the building blocks of protein, at specific windows. One of the most critical is right after exercise. When you challenge your muscles through resistance training, you create microscopic tears in the fibers. This sounds destructive, but it's exactly what primes them for growth. During the next 1 to 2 hours, your muscle cells open their doors wide, ready to pull in amino acids to repair and strengthen. This is often called the anabolic window. Here's the practical takeaway. Eating a lentil-based meal or snack within a couple of hours after exercise maximizes the rebuilding process. It could be as simple as a lentil soup, a lentil salad with quinoa, or even a lentil-based wrap. Pairing this with some vitamin C-rich vegetables like bell peppers, tomatoes, or citrus enhances iron absorption and boosts the nutrient profile. But here sits where synergy matters. Lentils alone provide a strong protein punch, but when you combine them with complementary foods, the benefits multiply. For example, lentils plus whole grains like rice or quinoa, together they form a complete protein, meaning all 9 essential amino acids are present in sufficient amounts. This is especially important for older adults aiming to maximize muscle protein synthesis. Lentils plus healthy fats like olive oil or avocado. Fats slow digestion slightly, providing a steady release of nutrients, and also help absorb fat-soluble antioxidants present in lentils. Lentils plus vegetables, the fiber diversity feeds a broader range of gut bacteria, amplifying anti-inflammatory effects. Think of these combinations as orchestrating a symphony. Lentils may be the lead violin, but the other instruments bring out the full richness of the music. Now let's zoom in on daily rhythm. Many people eat a carb-heavy breakfast, a light lunch, and a protein-rich dinner. But this pattern leaves your muscles underfueled for most of the day. Research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition suggests that spreading protein intake evenly across 3 meals, about 25-30 grams per meal, keeps muscle protein synthesis consistently activated. Here's a simple framework. Breakfast: a sprouted lentil and avocado toast or a lentil veggie scramble. Lunch: lentil and quinoa salad with mixed greens. Dinner: lentil stew with vegetables and a drizzle of olive oil. That's 3 doses of high-quality, muscle-building protein spread evenly, exactly what your muscles need to resist sarcopenia. And let's not forget the psychological side. Food rhythms also affect mental energy and focus. Have you noticed how a high-carb lunch often leaves you sluggish in the afternoon? When you include lentils at lunch, the slow-release carbs and proteins stabilize blood sugar, keeping your brain sharp while fueling muscle repair. That's a 2-for-1 cognitive performance and muscular resilience. One more tool: batch cooking. Lentils cook quickly and store well. Making a large pot once or twice a week means you'll always have a base ready to build meals around. This reduces friction, one of the biggest barriers to consistent healthy eating. So the science is clear. Timing and pairing are as important as the food itself. When you eat lentils within 2 hours of movement, and when you combine them with whole grains, healthy fats, and vegetables, you create a nutritional environment that accelerates muscle repair, protects energy systems, and sustains focus. In the next section, we'll bring it all together by comparing lentils directly with sardines and other animal proteins, and we'll see why in many cases lentils may actually come out ahead for long-term muscle health and healthy aging. By now, you might be wondering, if sardines are known for their protein and omega-3 sess, why would I suggest reaching for lentils instead? The answer isn't about choosing one over the other forever. It's about understanding the different strengths of each and why lentils deserve to be at the center of the conversation on muscle health and aging. Let's start with sardines. They are indeed nutrient-dense, about 23 grams of protein per can, plus omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, and calcium. Those omega-3 say in particular have been shown to reduce inflammation and even enhance muscle protein synthesis in older adults. A 2011 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that supplementation with omega-3 sains increased muscle anabolic response to protein and insulin. So yes, sardines are powerful. But here's the problem. They're not always practical for daily use. Many people dislike the taste or smell, and sustainability concerns limit how often we should rely on marine sources. Moreover, sardines don't address another critical factor, fiber. They provide protein and omega-3s, but they don't nourish the gut microbiome. That's where lentils pull ahead. Lentils deliver protein, leucine, magnesium, iron, and a vast spectrum of polyphenols and fibers that not only fuel muscles directly, but also build the gut-muscle axis, a pathway increasingly recognized as essential for fighting sarcopenia. A 2020 review in Frontiers in Physiology highlighted how gut microbiota influence muscle mass and function, suggesting that dietary fibers and polyphenols are just as important as protein for healthy aging. Sardines simply can't provide that. There's also the question of long-term health balance. Diets high in red and processed meats are associated with higher inflammation, oxidative stress, and chronic disease risk. Lentils, on the other hand, are associated with reduced cardiovascular risk, better metabolic control, and longevity. Blue zone populations, some of the longest living communities on Earth, eat legumes like lentils daily. That's not a coincidence. So that's not about demonizing sardines. In fact, the ideal strategy might be integration. Picture this: a couple of meals per week that include oily fish like sardines or salmon for omega-3 support. Daily or near daily inclusion of lentils for protein, fiber, and gut support. This combination leverages the best of both worlds while keeping your diet varied, sustainable, and enjoyable. But if you had to choose a staple, something you can rely on day after day to protect your muscles, reduce inflammation, and stabilize energy, lentils win because of accessibility, affordability, versatility, and their broader protective profile. They are a food you can eat in large amounts regularly without concern for mercury, sustainability, or dietary fatigue. Here's such a simple integration tool. Anchor your meals around lentils. Make them the base of soups, salads, or stews. Layer in omega-3s a few times per week through sardines, salmon, or flax seeds. Pair with resistance training at least 3 times per week to maximize protein use. Distribute protein evenly across 3 meals using lentils as the cornerstone. Have you ever noticed how consistency beats intensity in the long run? The same is true here. It's not the single superfood or one-off workout that protects your muscles. It's the daily rhythm of feeding, moving, and recovering wisely. So yes, sardines have their place, but if your goal is to build and protect muscle, fight sarcopenia, and age with vitality, lentils are the unsung hero you should never overlook. And in the conclusion, we'll bring all of this together: the science, the tools, and the bigger why. So you leave not only informed, but inspired to take action today. We began with a sobering truth. After the age of 30, we begin losing muscle, and by our later decades, this decline accelerates into sarcopenia. But we've also seen something even more powerful, that decline is not inevitable. With the right foods, habits, and timing, you can preserve and even rebuild strength at any age. We uncovered that the humble lentil, often overlooked, is more than a side dish. It is a science-backed ally against sarcopenia. Lentils provide high-quality protein and leucine to spark muscle protein synthesis, polyphenols and resistant starch to fight inflammation, magnesium and iron to fuel mitochondria, and fiber to strengthen the gut-muscle axis. We explored how timing matters, how combining lentils with whole grains and vegetables amplifies their power, and how spreading protein evenly across meals keeps your body in a constant state of repair. And we compared them with sardines, a nutrient-rich food, yes, but one that can't offer the same daily accessibility, gut support, or long-term protective breadth that lentils bring. So the takeaway is simple. Muscle is your longevity organ. Protect it, and you protect your independence, your cognition, your energy, and your quality of life. Let it waste away and you accelerate decline. The choice, fortunately, is in your hands and on your plate. Here's my challenge to you this week. Make lentils the centerpiece of just 3 meals. Pay attention to how your body responds. Your energy, your focus, even your mood. Combine this with a simple resistance training routine, and you'll begin building a foundation that can serve you for decades. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about food trivia or diet fads. It's about you reclaiming your strength, your vitality, and your future. Science has given us the blueprint. Now it's up to each of us to put it into practice. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to join this community of people committed to aging stronger, healthier, and more alive. Together, we're not just adding years to life, we're adding life to years.